This is Will Montgomery, former Washington Redskins center.
Yo, what's good, folks? This is Trey Johnson, the headbanger, yo, and you're listening to Mess Hall with Rally Captain and Tailgate Ted. Word.
What's going on, Rally? Happy first day of summer, man.
Is it the first day of summer? It seems like it's the first day of spring with all this rain going on. April showers bring July flowers, I guess you want to say.
Yeah, man. I was actually hoping to go to the Nats game today, and then I wasn't sure if it was going to get canceled, and we had the show going on and everything else. And yeah, I'm looking out my window right now. It is nasty out there.
Oh, yeah. I'm glad to be inside. I really am. I don't want anything to do with the rain, although we need it. And so I'm not going to be too upset about it. My grass needs it. You know, the plants need it. You know, the universe, we need rain. And
yeah, everyone says that, man. I don't know. It's like if the grass dies and I don't got to pay someone to cut it.
Well, that doesn't mean it still doesn't need it, though. It's just dead grass.
It is. It's just dead grass. It's just, I remember I would always try and walk my dog in certain areas back when I used to live in Virginia, where it was such a pain to get the lawnmower to cut the grass.
Mm-hmm.
Just as like, oh, I didn't kill it. The dog did. You can't blame me.
Get you a goat, right?
Yeah. I don't think they'd allow that in Fairfax County, but hey, if I could get away with it, why not?
Stranger things have happened, bro.
That is true. And speaking of a strange thing that happened, did you hear the latest between Joe Gibbs and Josh Harris?
Actually, I did hear that, man. And I got to tell you, so this guy, he continues to wow me, man. And so obviously he and Joe have been talking and, or Mr. Gibbs, shall I say. Mr. Gibbs has been talking.
Man, it's coach. It's always going to be coach.
Mr. Gibbs, coach, just the side of me that, like I told you, I couldn't call Eric. I had to call him Mr. Coach Bieniemy. I had to do that. But anyway, so Coach Gibbs, they've been talking, man, and think about this. So he owns all of these things, and now he has his hands on Joe Gibbs Racing, JGR. I mean, that's good stuff, bro.
It's phenomenal, man. I was happy to hear this. And for those of our listeners that don't know or didn't hear it, it's a Wednesday, June 21st. We're recording this, but it was just announced a couple of days ago that Harris Blitzer Sports and Entertainment, the sports investment company led by Josh Harris and private equity firm Arctos Sports Partners, is making a minority investment in Joe Gibbs Racing. And it's forming a partnership that makes Gibbs a limited partner in HBSE. So the difference, though, is HBSC is not the actual official group that is going to be investing and buying the Commanders. But the fact of the matter is, Josh Harris has been courting Coach for a long time now. Gibbs became a confidant to Harris as he pursued the team. So to me, it doesn't get any classier than Coach Gibbs. I've had the honor of meeting him multiple times. I mean, he is just a salt of the earth kind of guy. No one has ever said anything bad about Coach. And I dare anyone to say something bad about Coach, because
I was going to say they're not going to start either, bro.
Yeah. I mean, the guy, he is Washington football. And if he trusts Josh Harris to invest in his NASCAR enterprise, then who are we as fans and people that love this team to not trust Josh Harris's group to do what's right when it comes to owning the Commanders and the investments they're going to make in the Commanders? And this was actually a quote from Josh Harris. It says here, "In recent years, I've been fortunate enough to get to know Coach Gibbs, and I'm proud to count him as a trusted friend and advisor. Joe is a winner, first in football and then with Joe Gibbs Racing. He has led organizations that build winning cultures based on strong values and a deep commitment to family and faith. This investment and partnership aims to support his vision and allow Joe Gibbs Racing to continue its track record of excellence long into the future." I'm excited, man. I mean, this to me is nothing but roses.
Oh, yeah. Love to hear that, man. Love to hear it. No doubt about it. And what do they say? You surround yourself with greatness and you will become greatness. You'll become great yourself. So it's there. You know what I mean? It's all intertwined up in there, man.
It definitely is. And Coach would come back, and I guess I wouldn't count this as a negative because I'm not trying to say anything negative about Gibbs, but he defended Dan. I mean, Santana Moss to this day still defends Dan Snyder. Said, I owe my career to Dan. He brought me here. He paid me, and he is loyal to Dan. I'm still shocked when I hear him do interviews and stuff, and Snyder comes up. He doesn't say anything bad about Dan. Coach Gibbs was the same way. He never said anything negative about Dan. He just wants to win. And I get it. He did just want to win, but there was a lot of bad stuff that's still being investigated to this day that, he may or may not have done. And some things we know for a fact that he did do.
Yeah.
But no one forced him to hitch his cart to Josh Harris. And he was doing this before Harris was a front runner with buying the team. And Coach didn't need to give his blessing about Harris. We all know that he would have come out after the fact once the team was sold and helped Josh bring the fans back. So it's kind of one of those things where, I think they say you put your money where your mouth is. He's putting his money in his trust within Josh. And, we called the last episode Believe a little bit because you hadn't seen Ted Lasso yet. And speaking of which, have you caught an episode?
No.
We'll get you there, man. It's over now, so you got nothing to do but catch up. But believe it or not, there were still fans after that episode that were saying, still don't trust it. You don't trust it now? How about Joe Gibbs trusts it? So maybe you should start, trusting it as well.
You guys better. I mean, actually, you know what? I'm not going to tell you to do anything. You may be of the cloth that you don't believe fat meat is greasy. So you know what happens when you fry that bacon. You can have an empty pan, but it's going to be full of grease. So just sit back and watch. Like the song says, don't believe me, just watch. Here we are. The sun is rotating around. We're there. So sit back, relax. Go ahead and get your popcorn ready, because when it does happen, Ted, myself, we will be at FedEx with a bottle of something and a cigar.
I picked up a case of champagne, man.
Oh, you've already done that. See,
oh yeah.
I'm behind the power curve.
Yeah, you can have some of the champagne. That's no problem.
You'll share with the brother. Good.
Of course, man. Of course.
I like that. That sounds good. Anybody else you're going to share it with?
It all depends, man. I've been getting some hate lately, so we'll see how it goes.
Dang, man, you always are getting hate, bro.
I can't sugarcoat it, man. I just I refuse to be I don't want to call blind homer. I refuse to let this team piss on my leg and tell me it's raining.
Okay.
If there's something they do that I'm not a fan of, then I will call it like I see it.
Air it out. I got you.
And there's just been a lot of debates on social media. Twitter is a cesspool of hate. I think that, especially since Elon decided to change it and you got people impersonating people on here now. So it just is what it is. But there's some in this fan base that, I get along with, like you and, let's see here, Hog Farmer Jeff and a bunch of other guys. And there's some in this fan base that for some reason they follow me on social media, and I appreciate you helping the numbers, but all they do is hate on everything I put out there. So it just cracks me up. Like, if you don't like what I'm saying, change the channel.
I mean, there's a million other ones to go to.
Yeah, there's a ton of them out there. There's a ton of other, people you can follow on Twitter. But hey, I could honestly care less. It does crack me up, though, when I see people saying things and not tagging me what they're saying. But they expect me to just be 100% all in on this team. And back in the day when I did a TV show with Larry Michael, I was at, back then, Redskins Park. I couldn't say what I wanted to say about the team from time to time. You're doing a show within those walls and you're provided access and doing different things. So if I didn't like something that coach did or the team did, I kind of just had to ignore it to a degree. If someone asked me about it, it's a different story, but I wouldn't publicly go out and say something. It's a different story now. It's the Wild West. I mean, we got our own medium here we can talk to. Oh,
definitely. You're right about that, man. And they appreciate that. I appreciate it. And sometimes I have to say that I look at things a little differently than you, which
You definitely do.
It's the way it's supposed to be. I have my outlook, you have yours. But the beautiful thing about it is we always come back to the middle, some shape, form, or fashion. And I think that our listeners can appreciate that.
Speaking of which, we actually have some new subscribers on our YouTube channel. So we really appreciate you guys doing that. Do us a favor, comment on the YouTube, because we actually saw that the different comments, the more comments, helps us get more people directed to the page. YouTube's got its funky analytics, the way it does things, but we really appreciate you guys. And we're hoping that we'll be able to announce a new sponsor coming on in the next couple of weeks. So stay tuned for that. But something else did come up this past week. It's kind of a slow season right now in the NFL, not really a ton going on. So a lot of people call it list season. Well, CBS Sports came out with the top 100 NFL list. Did you get a chance to take a look at this?
I perused the list a little bit, and I saw one stand out that I thought should have been higher, but the fact that he's in it, I'm okay.
So do you know how many Commanders are actually on this list?
I saw one, and when I saw the one that I needed to see, I stopped looking. How many are there?
Okay. So out of 100, we've got 2 players on the top 100 list.
Okay.
That's it.
I know one. And who's the next?
Which one do you know?
I know Terry.
Okay,
68.
So Terry was number 68. It says here, can you imagine how good his numbers would be if he played with good quarterbacks the past 4 seasons? All he does is produce for an offense that has been greatly limited by its quarterback play. I agree with that. If Terry actually had a real quarterback and not someone that threw him the ball with his eyes closed, it'd be a different story.
What's the saying? What's the saying? Just chalk it up there. Terry's out there somewhere.
Like F it, Terry down there somewhere.
Yeah,
the fact that they made a T-shirt. It's Heineke, whatever. But the fact that he was 68 on this list, to me, is just disrespectful. And I'm looking at the overall numbers from last year. Terry doesn't have a ton of passing stats. So I'm looking at receivers. Top receivers last year, just looking at overall receptions. Yeah, I got to go to page 2 to find Terry. So I get it. He's not up there, probably because we're biased and we see everything with burgundy and gold glasses. But you can't tell me that there are some of these receivers on this list in the 60s that are better than Terry.
I agree, but I think what they're doing is they're comping it with the QB that they have. And what was it? The first basically 3 or 4 games. I mean, he really wasn't targeted that much. So I mean, that hurts his numbers, but
definitely hurts his numbers.
We've got this year, bro. And we've got to, what people also need to understand is this year is everyone's optimistic because we've got a semi-gunslinger. Say what you want about how he's not tall enough, chicken nuggets, whatever you want, but the kid can throw the ball, man. Let's get down to brass tacks. The kid can throw the ball, and I'm calling him a kid because he's younger than me. He can throw the ball, and I'm looking forward to really this year solidify. Hopefully, that he solidifies what a perennial quarterback should be for our organization.
I'm hoping. My concern is going out there during minicamp and OTAs, he wasn't throwing to Terry as much. He was hitting Jahan more and he was hitting Diami more. So is this a thing where he knows Terry's going to be open and he's just trying to work the other routes to the other guys? Because we know that Terry had a rapport with Heineke.
Yes.
Sam only threw 11 balls. So there really wasn't a ton. I'll be curious to see how it goes in camp. Are they going to start off slow?
But in game, who did he throw that 40-yard pass to?
I hear you. And I think,
as
long as he gets a chance to actually look deep and go to him, I want to see how Terry's going to be used in this offense. How's it actually going to work with Bieniemy in his routes and what's going to go on there? Because looking at his stats last year, just kind of overall, he had 77 receptions for almost 1,200 yards and 5 touchdowns. So to me, it's disrespectful for him to be 68 on that list where you got Waddle, who is ahead of him. You got Garrett Wilson from the Jets, who is a rookie that's at 63. To me, I'm sorry. If I'm building a team, I'm taking Terry over Garrett Wilson or Jalen Waddle. That's just not me being a Commanders fan. That's me just watching the guy play. And I don't do fantasy football. I think, do you play fantasy football?
No.
Yeah.
I don't have that much time on my hands.
I mean, I stopped playing when we played in London because I wasn't gonna be able to put my lineup in. And on game days, you know how busy I am. I know how busy you are. So I kept losing because I could never check to see if one of my guys was hurt. Was he actually going to be a game time decision? So I would end up losing that week. So I just stopped playing. But from a fantasy football perspective, maybe that's what this list is coming down to because, Waddle had more touchdowns than Terry at 8, but he had 75 catches. To me, there's not a huge difference. So I would rather have him over. But the good news is we can see what a true offense is going to show because Terry's got other people lining up beside him where he didn't have a healthy Curtis Samuel. And I think part of that, maybe just me being superstitious was the fact that Curtis wore number 10. And I cannot think of a single person that wore number 10 and it's ended up good for them over here in the burgundy and gold.
Well, yeah, that's that cloud that hangs over it. And so hopefully that can be shooed away because we don't need any bad clouds. I honestly believe that just like how this rain is over us right now, once the T's get crossed and the I's get dotted, bro, that you're gonna slowly start to see that cloud dissipate. I really believe that.
I'm hoping so. I mean, he's my wife's favorite player. So we got her a McLaurin Commanders jersey. And did you see the other day, he did a thing, I think it was with the Boys and Girls Club. He was giving bikes to all these kids in DC.
I heard about that.
Man, just seeing some of the videos out there and how happy these kids were. And to me, it's the players like that are doing those things to give back to this community that you can't help but want to support. And they're so easy to root for. And another guy that's easy to root for that was on this list, and I was actually shocked to see that he was the only other Commander on the list other than Terry. Guess who? I'll give you a hint. It was defense.
Well, I'm going to say, I'm not going to say Deron Payne. I'm going to say Jonathan Allen.
I would have thought it would have been John Allen. I'm going down this list and looking, didn't see John's name.
Oh, wow. So who was it?
This is baseball. All right, so you got one strike. You got 2 more.
Well, okay. Deron Payne.
Nah, Deron wasn't on the list. Top 100, Deron missed it.
Well, I'll be doggone, man. Oh, gosh. You say it's defense.
It's defense. So you got 9 other players.
Oh, my gosh. Dude. Let's see.
Wish I had Jeopardy music right now.
I tell you. I don't know, bro.
It kind of caught me off guard when I looked at it. You just want me to tell you? You want to shoot for one more?
Tell me.
Cam Curl. Cam was number 85. Yep. It says here, who? With a question mark. Pay attention. This kid has developed into one of the best young safeties in the game. He's good in both the run and against the pass.
I never would have thought that.
You know who blew that up and is making a fat head out of it as he'll be carrying to the stadium alongside Hog Farmer Chris. Cam's dad.
Yeah.
I mean,
I was going there, but the fact is, I guess I'm still kind of just saying to myself, I as you know, and as our listeners probably could tell by the silence, I didn't think that, and I never would have guessed that at all because I just wouldn't have. But the kid is balling out, man, and once again, it shows you what the new ownership needs to do. One of the first things that needs to be done when they sign that contract, man, was the movie say pay him his money. So, I was
Yeah,
going to say maybe Kendall Fuller or somebody like that. I mean, one of the bigger names, but I mean, Kendall really hasn't had that big a year or standout of a year like Cam has, but sometimes they go by big names.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's why I was going to say Kendall Fuller.
Now, I was shocked that Cam made it, but I mean, he is in my opinion, one of the top 20 safeties out there in the NFL.
Yeah.
And considering where he was drafted, I'm trying to remember what round he was drafted in.
Well, while you're looking at that, something else that came across one of my feeds was Wild Goose. They said, be on the lookout for Wild Goose, man. I know
Wild Goose tweeted?
Yeah, no, he didn't tweet that, but it was weird, man. I said, wow. I said Ted has kind of an issue with Wild Goose last year, and they're saying be on the lookout for this kid. So, it's one of those things, man. They're saying Wild Goose, so be prepared.
I mean, everyone is hyping up this defense. My problem was, and Cam was the 7th round pick, but my problem was everyone hypes up this defense, but they don't actually watch the games. That's the issue I got, because secondary, we seem good. Middle of the defensive line, we seem solid. The fact that Duran and John aren't on this top 100 list makes no sense to me, and it somewhat invalidates the list, but maybe that's just me being biased because, we are Commanders fans. But linebacker, I'm not sold on their one linebacker scheme with Jamin there. And on the ends, okay, Montez, he can play. But what are we going to get from Chase? And he's a guy that we constantly keep talking about, considering what he did before. But I don't know how this defense is going to be. There was another list that came out from Pro Football Focus. It actually had the 2023 NFL defensive line rankings. And the Commanders were number 3 on that list, right behind the 49ers. And it says here, it remains to be seen whether edge defender Chase Young will still be on the roster when the season kicks off. But as things stand, Washington's starting defensive line consists of 4 former first-round picks. The interior is led by Jonathan Allen, who was graded among the top 20 interior defenders for 3 straight seasons. And on the edge, they have Montez Sweat, who earned a career-high 86.4 grade that ranked 8th among players at the position last season. Doesn't even bother to mention Duran, who had his career year last year, but Chase ain't
got
going
his money.
I can't see them, and we talked about it, trading Chase. It does not make any sense for that to happen. But to me, that's what's wrong with the national media versus people that are actually here locally. The national media can't believe that Sam Howell is QB1. But if they understood what was happening here, the fact that we don't have ownership in place, that they can't spend all this cash to do anything, and that Rivera is on a lifeline right now, Howell's going to be QB1. They're not going to make a big investment like they did last year, bringing Wentz in here. What do you expect them to do?
No, and as we know, that experiment went bad real quick. Real quick, man. So, and I'm glad that it's over and we actually can move on to how I really am. And as you said, the outside media just doesn't know, and they're scratching their heads. But here in the DMV, and if you're a true Commanders fan, it's something that we feel, and we all are hoping that it comes to fruition, that he turns out to be really good, and I think that he can. So somebody sent me something that said, with Hopkins, Hopkins being available, should we go after him? And I said, well, if we had the money to do something, I would rather us not go after Hopkins. I'd rather us go after a linebacker or more offensive linemen. And I kind of got trashed by that. But
really, who the hell trashed you for that?
Hey, brother, I don't
see. To me, that's a fantasy football person. That's not someone that actually watches football. That's the guy that plays fantasy football.
And so, my thing is, hey, in a more perfect world, perfect universe, sure, if he falls in our lap, I take him. But I honestly believe that our receiving core is top notch, and we really don't need anyone else. But if he fell in our lap, sure, I take him. But I
See,
think that if we had,
I don't want him.
no, I said if he fell in our lap,
Even if he fell in our lap, even if he somehow fell in our lap, to me, there's not enough footballs around. Who are you going to sit? I mean, who are you going to take out of a lineup? I would rather have Curtis and Jahan and Terry in there than Hopkins. To me, to split those guys up, okay, you sit Curtis, you've got this big ass investment in him to bring Hopkins in to do what? Or I'd rather have Logan Thomas out there. I'd rather have De'Ami Brown out there. Mm-hmm. Is Hopkins better than De'Ami Brown? Yes. But considering De'Ami Brown as a draft pick, I would rather do that because you still got to pay Hopkins. So even if he does, quote, fall in your lap, he's still going to expect to get paid. And I don't know what his vet minimum is, but I guarantee his vet minimum, which he won't sign for, is still going to be more expensive than De'Ami. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people are saying Kareem Hunt's out there. Do we bring Kareem Hunt in? And I don't get the fans that are speculating, let's bring him here just because he played with the enemy. To me, we just drafted that kid, Rodriguez? Mm-hmm. And we got AG and we got B-Rob. We don't need another running back. How many running backs do you think they're going to bring going into an actual 53-man roster? From a Kareem Hunt perspective, I actually wanted to get your feedback on that. You think they should try and bring Kareem here or just go with what you got?
Once again, if he falls in our lap, I'll take him if he falls in our lap. But I'd rather us focus on where it counts. I think that we have enough talent to be able to get things done, providing our linemen do what needs to be done and our defense does what it needs to be done, man. And I know that's a vague and a huge, umbrella statement, but ultimately that's where I feel as though we dropped off last year. Offensive line play and defense. So if we can shore that up, and I told you that if I feel if we can possibly get 10 points, 8 to 10 more points a game, man, we can turn this thing around. And the next time that Fox News, or not Fox News, but Fox Sports does a show, and I say, what are we like, 2-4? I'll be saying, what are we like, 4-2? I'll be able to say that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And because I honestly believe that it can happen. Now, I'm not going to be one of these guys that's going to say Super Bowl or undefeated or whatever have you. I'm not going to do that because it is the first year with the enemy's offense. But at the same time, what we do know is the NFL sometimes has a hard time copying new stuff. So if he's bringing in something new that our opponents hadn't seen yet, man, it's limitless what can be done. And I know we got to crawl before we walk, but when you look out on the horizon, you're just like, wow, okay, this really could be something. So don't let us down. I'm praying to you, don't let us down. Let's work this thing out and get 8 to 10 points extra that we were getting on top of last year's totals.
See, to me, that's a lot to ask. We were averaging, I want to say 17.8 points per game. Now you're talking about averaging almost 28 points per game. I'm trying to see who had the most points per game last year in 2022 was the Chiefs at 29. Right. We're not going to be as high scoring as the Chiefs offense. It ain't happening, man. We don't have Travis Kelce. We don't have Patrick Mahomes. It ain't gonna happen.
We don't, but we've got other things that can make things. Okay, how about this? How about 5 to 7 points?
Yeah,
points a game.
To me, right there. If you're talking 22 points a game, that puts you up there with the Chargers. That puts you up there with the Packers and the Giants. Guess who made the playoffs? And we did it. The Giants. So, it's just things like that. But really, it's going to come down to the defense. What can the defense do and what can they hold people to? Because we had a good defense. I want to say we were top 3 in a couple of different categories, and it just depends on which one you're looking. But I think we were top 3 in third down, but our points per game, opponent points per game was 20 last year. If this defense can step it up and actually keep that lower, I mean, we were ranked 8th in opponents' points per game. Top was the 49ers at 17. So if the defense can step it up and the offense can actually put up a little bit more, I think it's going to be closer games that you hope Sam doesn't give away, but he basically is a rookie. I understand he went through a lot, but he said himself he did not have any time with the ones last season. He didn't get a chance to throw anything to him until really that last game against the Cowboys, which to me was malpractice by Rivera and his coaching staff and Scott Turner, because Carson Wentz was hurt and he was on short-term IR, and he was one Heineke YOLO concussion from getting put in. So why not give a chance to give Sam reps? But Sam's finally going to have an offseason to actually work with these guys. So from my standpoint, he is a rook because he's learning a new system and didn't really do a damn thing last year.
So you're saying to me that you feel that I'm going offense, you're going defense. You're saying that if the defense can step up and do better, then we can be better. And I'm saying give us more points. All right. So listeners, viewers, you hear what we're saying here. Ted is going defense, and I'm saying give us more offense. So we're going to see how this plays out. So put it in your calendar and see how. I'm going to definitely put it in mind. Put it in your calendar, and we're going to see what sways the pendulum, whether it's going to be more offense or more defense. We're going to see what's up.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see, because I hope it's both. But he's got a wordy system. But we also have, what scares me on the defensive side, we've got a better crop of quarterbacks coming to town this season.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the issue that we're going to have, is playing against these guys. Who knows what's going to happen December 3rd? Is Tua going to be around when we play the Dolphins? So it's so hard to tell what's actually going to go on. We've got Aaron Rodgers on Christmas Eve. Is Aaron Rodgers going to be high in a tent someplace, or is he actually going to be on the field playing for the Jets? Not sure. Who's going to actually be the quarterback for the Niners this year? So there's a lot of unknowns, but what we do know is we got 2 defensive ends that need to ball out if they want to get paid, in Montez and in Chase. We got Cam Curl, who essentially, if they don't extend him, is playing for a contract. We got a lot of guys that are going to be coin operated and motivated to do some good if they actually want to get those extra deals.
Hungry, yeah.
On the offense, we got a lot of young guys. So we got to see how that goes. Other than Logan, we got a lot of young guys, and we changed 80% of the offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
That is what scares me. And like you, instead of, even if a Kareem Hunt or a Hopkins falls in our lap, I want the biggest, fattest offensive lineman that gets cut to come here and hang out here. And even if he's just a body, we need more depth at guard, at tackle, just at line in general.
Yeah, I haven't heard us really making any splash signings, but obviously the guys are there. We just don't know about them. And it'll be cool to see how it shakes out in training camp, to see what our depth chart and our numbers really look like in camp. Because as we know, man, and I don't want to, but that I word, and we all know it starts with I and ends with Y. It comes up all the time in all 32 squads. So they're going to be just picking guys. So I'm hoping that we can stay eye free and go from there, man. I really am. And I think, Ted, I think, man, that we're going to be all right. The Kendrick Lamar in me says we're going to be all right. So hopefully.
So for me, it's, if we do well because Sam does well, then I'm happy. If the team doesn't do well, then we know what we got, because Sam didn't make it and he didn't have the cut. And I'm sorry, I don't think Rivera is the coach for this team in the future. I think he's living on borrowed time, dead coach walking at this point. So hopefully, I don't want us to have 6 wins. I don't want us to have 7 wins. Either we get 10 and we make the playoffs, or the team doesn't do well and we're actually in running to get a good draft pick, because there's going to be some strong quarterbacks coming out next year. I'm not trying to talk about quarterbacks, but to me, I wanted Wentz to play that Browns game. Yeah, I was one of the guys that actually wanted it because he was still under contract. We had to see what he could do. It failed. He did horrible. I want to see, and I want Sam to get a chance to prove, should he have been a first round pick or a second round pick instead of dropping to the 5th round? And hopefully we get a chance to see that this season, like a real chance to see that. I don't want him running for his life behind a makeshift O-line, and then you still have question marks going into next offseason. Is Sam the guy?
Well, see, you said something that kind of it made the hairs on my neck stand up, man. So you said that you don't want to jinx, but there's a new crop of rookie quarterbacks coming in. Well, here's the thing, man. If Sam does hypothetically wet the bed, you're going to just be repeating that process all over again.
Yeah,
and there's
with a new coach.
There's different variables of wetting the bed. All right, if he keeps us in close with games, I'm not going to say get a rookie quarterback. I'm going to say, okay, you saw what he can do. Get him some more help, because I honestly believe that's going to be the difference maker. How much help does the guy have, realistically?
He's got a lot of weapons. He's got a lot of strong position players. It's the offensive line he doesn't have.
There you go. If he can't get the ball to him, then what good is he? What good is anybody? What good is another rookie quarterback coming in here if you can't shore up the line? If that is what is causing us our issues.
I agree with you. It's just any coach that comes in here is going to want his own guy. He wants to hitch his wagon to his quarterback. And I'm sorry, it's a vicious cycle.
Yeah.
So what has happened in the past is Shanahan inherited quarterbacks he did not want. Gruden inherited quarterbacks he didn't want. Rivera got stuck with quarterbacks he didn't want. That's why I did not want us to pick up a free agent quarterback going into this offseason, because Rivera is not going to be here unless he takes a deep run in the playoffs. And if he does, then hell yeah, that's freaking awesome. But if he doesn't, he's going to be gone. So the last thing I wanted, and why I'm okay with Jacoby Brissett's contract, is it's a 1-year deal. When you throw Rivera out, then you get a chance to throw all these other contracts out and then let the GM, whoever it's going to be, start from scratch. And it's going to be, in my opinion, 4 more years until we can truly compete, which sucks because we're wasting Terry's good years and John Allen's good years and Duron's good years.
You said 4 more years. God dog, man. I don't want to talk like that, bro. I don't want to talk like that.
I hear you.
I mean, I'm in it for life too.
That's what I'm saying.
For life. But I don't want to think 4 years down the road, man. I need to think at least think at least this year and next year and go from there. That's what I need to think about this year and next year.
To me, it's next year, everything changes unless we win 2 playoff games.
2.
Yeah. I think everything changes up front because Rivera is still under contract, but he would be a lame duck coach at that point. So depending on how he does, we'll see. I would love it if we get a chance and Rivera does succeed and we go from there. I just don't have a ton of faith in it. And that's what I was getting into some of the Twitter beefs with some of the people out there. You're the back of your baseball card. He has had 3 winning seasons his entire career. He lucked box into drafting Cam Newton and only had 3 good seasons with Cam Newton.
Right.
So I'm just going based on track record. The only wild card is Eric Bieniemy. The problem here is Rivera is picking the players and he's not giving Bieniemy a stacked deck. He's handcuffing Bieniemy because he didn't do his best to get a true offensive line to help Sam in this new system.
So you play spades?
Yeah, man.
So
you think you sandbag?
Would you well, as long as you don't renege, but would you say that Bieniemy is, in playing spades, is Bieniemy the big joker or is he the little joker?
I'd say little, because he still doesn't control everything. He still can get, outvoted by Ron. I mean, in the draft, first round, second round, you don't think Bieniemy wanted someone on offense? We have taken defensive players in the past how many drafts going DB back to back. You don't think Bieniemy would have wanted a new tight end in his offense or an offensive lineman?
You think he cringed, huh?
Yeah.
You think he cringed when he heard?
I think he wasn't too happy about it.
I would have loved to have seen facial expressions close up when that was done, and to see if he said, "God dog it! Oh, hey, yeah."
Oh, I'm sure that there was a camera, but I'm sure it was only the commander's camera, and that ain't gonna get leaked.
No, yeah.
But it'll be interesting, man. I just, having watched Bieniemy out there a handful of times and hearing everything about him, I hope he gets a chance to prove all of those other NFL owners wrong for not giving him a head coaching job. I hope he gets a chance to really show that he is an architect and he wasn't hiding behind Andy Reid and his shadow, which is a big shadow.
Yeah.
And Ron is letting him do what he needs to do from an offense perspective. Out there at practice, Ron's just sitting there with his arms crossed, swallowing his whistle, doing not a damn thing. The problem is he's not buying organic ingredients. He's giving Bieniemy some of that grade D O-line meat. And we'll see how it goes. I mean, grade D meat's what you get at Taco Bell. So we'll see what happens.
Hey man, for our listeners that can't see this, my fingers are crossed. Okay, our viewers, you guys see that my fingers are crossed. So, hey, I hear the music, which lets me know that we are bringing another episode to a close. And I thank you guys for listening. I thank you guys for watching. And if you are new, hit the like, subscribe. It really does help us out. Hopefully, as Ted said, in the next couple of weeks, you'll be hearing about a new sponsorship with us at the DMV Mess Hall. So thanks for listening. That's going to do it for another edition. Remember, guys, you rep it hard or you don't rep it at all. Rally Captain, Tailgate Ted, for another week. We're out.